I'd like to ask you, David Blumenfeld, what is the biggest risk?
We're going to answer it a couple different ways, if that's okay. Um, so I think, I mean, and this first one might seem like a self-serving answer, but I think the risk for real estate companies in general for not looking at technology, and again, it doesn't have to be the biggest, the biggest, the newest, the flashiest, but if you're not incorporating technology into your day-to-day operations, whether it be from a marketing perspective, a company a leasing perspective, building management, et cetera, you are getting left behind. And the good news for you is that the real estate industry moves slow, but as it gets more and more competitive certainly in certain asset classes, office being one of them, to not be investing in kind of future proofing your building and your company is going to come back and bite you in the long term. And both from a just an operational perspective, but also eventually from a recruiting perspective, where people who are you're gonna want in your company are not gonna want to work at your company if you're not forward thinking. From a tech perspective, I think the biggest concern right now, excitement and concern certainly is with AI and things like conversational AI, like ChatGPT. We have clients who their legal departments come in and said we can't use AI at all. And I think the practical concern there is a risk of if you're using kind of a ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot, one of these or Google Gemini, is that depending on the information you're putting in to have, let's say you're like, I want to put, I use it a lot for writing better copy, maybe writing a better email than I wrote already because I realized, I'm just not saying that quite right. But it's much more powerful than that. You can put in financial data, for example, that would spit back a spreadsheet for you or different analysis that might, normally take hours on in Excel. There is risk when you start to upload proprietary information from a financial perspective. Um, but you need to kind of balance that risk with what you're using those tools for because they are very powerful and very efficient as well. So I think it's making sure you don't swing the pendulum one way or the other. Like you need to certainly use AI in your business, but I think if you're going to start to do a lot of things through AI, there are ways to protect the information that you're putting out there, and you don't have to just throw something in ChatGPT. You can have an application that's specific to your company that leverages AI, but may be able to spit out kind of your own private version of ChatGPT, so to speak. So you just need to understand the implications and the risks of if you're using kind of a generic service, there is a risk that you're putting that data. Not it's not necessarily means that those companies are going to use it against you, but you are uploading that information into the cloud. And I think it's funny, you've seen a lot in America around like, oh, we're going to ban TikTok because we're worried about China, stealing all this data. Well, China's come out with a lot of new AI platforms lately, and nobody's talking about the data privacy implications. Like, I would be much more concerned about putting anything in a Chinese AI software platform versus my social media via TikTok. So it's just funny how people are not thinking about things holistically, and I think that's just what you need to make sure you need to do. But again, as I said in my earlier very comment at the beginning of um, at the beginning of the conversation, don't get into analysis paralysis where you justify doing nothing because you have to overthink it over and over again.